live போறப்போ so we are on live. We'll go.
Okay, please go ahead. Okay.
So good morning to one and all present here, and it's our great pleasure to have you all for this Knowledge 4.0 webinar series, which is one of the unique initiative of our chairman, Mr. P. Sriram, the Chennai Institute of Technology chairman, who is a first generation entrepreneur, a well-known industrialist, managing director of MK Group of companies. So you all know about Knowledge 4.0. Under this webinar series, we have been conducting series of webinars like technical webinars, research webinars, career guidance webinars, and innovation webinars. Today we have technical webinar on the topic called the role of modified lead systems in clinical electrocardiography. We have Dr. Sivaraman from NIT Roorkela. Thanks, Mr. Sivaraman, for accepting our request and being part of this webinar.
Thank you, sir.
So Chennai Institute of Technology was established in 2010 by our Honorable Chairman, Mr. P. Sriram. Now our institute is being within the top 10 institute among the private engineering colleges in Tamil Nadu. So that is a good part in it. To say a few words about Dr. Sivaraman. Sivaraman sir has completed his BE Biomedical Engineering from Anna University and ME Medical Electronics from Anna University and PhD Biomedical Engineering from NIT Trichy, India. So his previous experience, work experience includes Senior Research Fellow in NIT Trichy and ad hoc faculty in NIT Trichy and well-tech institutions, and he has completed his postdoctoral fellow from IIT Hyderabad, and also he has been working in assistant professor in NIT Roorkela, Odisha from February 2018. He has a lot of research publication on his part, and I welcome Dr. Sivaraman for his wonderful occasion. Over to you, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, Dr. Balamurali. Right. Thanks for the introduction. Of course, I will just tell one disclaimer that I just spoke a similar slide maybe a month ago, maybe 20 days back. Maybe there were about 600 participants at that time. Am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay. So I just spoke about the basics of electrocardiology. I don't know how many people have listened to that. If the same people listening to here, it may be repetitive. Maybe for first 20 slides, then thereafter I'll talk more on the the different aspects of ECG analysis, how the role of modified lead systems in clinical electrocardiography is going to play a role. So as Sir said, I am Sivaraman, belongs to, I have a lab called Biosignals and Medical Instrumentation Laboratory from the Department of Biotechnology and Medical Engineering from NIT Roorkela, Odisha. And just before going to the the academic part, the introduction part of ECG and other things, let me just talk about the institute. What is our institute? What kind of groups we have in our department? So that means you people, those are students or young faculties, you can come here to do your PhDs. We always welcome bright minds. So I just show some maybe 3 to 4 slides of this institute. Of course, where is NIT Roorkela? Many people confuse between Roorkela and Roorkee. Roorkee is the one which is in Uttarakhand, which has IIT, and Roorkela is the one which is in Odisha, which has NIT. So they always confuse between Roorkela and Roorkee. That's a common factor. But of course, Roorkela is here. It's in the city nearby Jamshedpur, Ranchi, and Raipur, Bhubaneswar. So this is a very good place towards the countryside. And we have Ranchi, which is the capital of Jharkhand, which is the hometown of MS Dhoni, belongs to CSK. And Jamshedpur is nothing but, you all know about Jamshedpur. And Bhubaneswar is here, over here, Bhubaneswar and Puri. And we have Raipur over here. So surrounded by lot of NITs, IITs and IIM. So we have IIM Ranchi, we have NIT Jamshedpur, We have NIT Raipur, we have IIT Bhilai, then we have the IIT Bhubaneswar. So there are a lot of education institutes, and we have Kolkata over here. Support 6 hours travel. We have IIM Kolkata, IIST Shibur, NIT Durgapur. So they're all we are all surrounded by about 5 to 6 hours of journey, so that you can have a very good institutes around by, and also we have good airports around us. So now I just talk about this is Chennai. Once you travel all the way, it's about 1480 kilometers, you come to Rourkela, and this is the institute which welcomes you. This is the main building of our institute. Of course, this is a daylight, and this is about the night picture. We have a very wonderful the greenery around the campus. Started in 1961, way back. Of course, started by laid foundation by the former Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru. Campus area is about 650 acres. We have 20 departments, and students we have 6,182, and we expect that it will go about maybe 6,500, 7,000 the coming academic year. We have faculty, the complete assistant, associate, and professors about 303, and recently we have recruited about 45 to 50 in the last recruitment. So we may have 350. So it's a good, wonderful ratio between student and faculty. And we have 20 departments offering both, not both UG, PG, and PhDs. So we have a lot of scope for doing PhDs and higher studies. This is my department. We call it BM, Biotechnology and Medical Departments, an aerial view here. And this is the entrance. The entrance will be small, but you have wonderful facilities and lot of opportunities available within the department. Full of greenery, you can see that. So it's a wonderful garden before us. And these are I want to just showcase about the the academic groups of BM. So we have 6 academic groups, which almost have every group has almost 3 to 4 faculty minimum. So our strength is about now 17 plus 5. We have recruited 5. So we have 22 faculties. So we have at least 4 faculty, 4 professors in this department. We have biomechanics and biotransport, bioprocess engineering, cell and molecular engineering, then environmental group, and I belong to medical electronics and instrumentation group and tissue. So these are things you can see the wide variety of groups comprising of biotechnologists as well as biomedical engineers. Then we have pharmacists, we have environmentalists. So we work on more interdisciplinary aspects, and we have wide variety of ranges of groups, so that any people can come and do even a computer science background, they can come and work on bioprocess engineering or biomechanics like that. So there's a plenty of opportunities available within the department where any UG or PG background, because we receive a lot of different MTech backgrounds. Not only that, once you know about biomedical, it's not that only biomedical students are welcome. Even we have mechanical background students, computer science, electrical, electronics. These are the students come for doing MTech in biomedical as well as specifically on biomedical. So that means all courses are applicable to do MTechs. And with this, I'll just cut short my presentations about the department wise. Let me go into the introduction part. Overview of the presentation, of course, those who have listened previously will be repetitions, but I can't help it out. There is no other way to talk about without talking about the introduction part about any topic. It doesn't make sense to talk about the research part of that particular topic. So basically, I talk about introduction, and then I'll just go to cardiac cell, electrical conduction system. Then what is the principle behind ECG, and what are the different standard? Okay, we have only one standard lead system, and I talk about ECG waves, and I'll emphasize more onto the modified way of lead system. What is the importance of modification? Why people have went for modification? What are the benefits they got from modifications? What are the limitations? What are the clinical implications? These are the things which I'll just emphasize on this particular talk, giving emphasis more onto the modification which I did, and there are a lot of different other modifications where people have done all around the globe. Introduction part, basically students and faculty are there in this particular presentation. So let me talk about the introduction part. What is all about the heart? So we have 4 chambers of the heart. One is the right atrium and left atrium. Then we have right ventricle, left ventricle. These are the 4 chambers of the heart. Right and left atrium are called as the upper chambers of the heart, and the right ventricle and left ventricle, they are called as the lower chambers of the heart. So right side of the heart typically receives the deoxygenated blood, which is shown blue in color. This is called as the inferior vena cava, and this is called as superior vena cava, and this is called as the inferior vena cava, which pours the blood into right atrium, which receives the blood from the different organs and pours your deoxygenated blood into right atrium. Then from right atrium to the no, to the AV valve, it flows the blood in right ventricle. Then from right ventricle, it goes to the lungs, to the pulmonary arteries, and from the it goes to lungs. Then again it comes to the pulmonary vein. It comes to left atrium, and then it comes to left ventricle. Then finally the left ventricle, which ejects the blood to the aorta. So this is basically, heart. We all know that heart is basically a pump. It pumps your deoxygenated blood from the right hand side and pushes the blood to the lungs, and from lungs it receives the blood to the pulmonary vein. It goes into left atrium, and then from the left atrium it goes to left ventricle, and then typically your left ventricle is the one which pushes your blood into aorta. Then it is basically a circulatory system. No, it's basically a cycle. It pushes the blood into systemic circulations. This is talking about cardiac muscle cell action potential, basically taking about the uh, definition of ventricular myocytes. So this is an example of how the action potential takes place in a ventricular myocyte. So there are 4 different phases: 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Okay. So basically, whenever the cell is at rest, or else we call as a polarized state of a cell. Generally, if you see the potential of the resting state of a cell, it's basically vary between minus 70 to minus 90 millivolts. Minus 70 to minus 90 millivolts. Typically, the sodium. So these are the different type of ions: sodium, potassium, calcium, and other ions. Sodium is the one which has more negativity inside a cell. So that's why the cell of ventricle is always be negative. Whenever it's getting excited, the sodium tries to the potassium, no, potassium tries to goes out, so that you have a depolarized. This is called a depolarized state. From the polarized state, it starts to depolarize, and this is the region called action potential state of a cell, which is basically about 20 to 40 plus 20 to 40 millivolts, and this is called the first phase. And you see that once it reaches action potential, it starts to repolarize. This is called the rapid repolarization phase of ventricles. Once it comes down, this is the phase 2, which is basically because of flow of calcium ions. These are slow calcium ions which prevents your rapid repolarization, and this is typically called as your plateau region or a saturation region. So this is the basic difference between a normal muscle cell or a normal nerve cell with respect to the cardiac muscle cell. So this is basically because of slow influx of calcium ions, which prevents your rapid repolarization, which is basically because of calcium ions. Then again, of course, calcium ions loses its property. Then your cell starts to flow down, and again it reaches your resting state of a cell. This is the basic difference in between your ventricular myocyte and a normal myocyte. This is a difference which I was talking about in the previous cell. From an engineering point of view, we should always worry about the x-axis and the y-axis. We should always worry about the x and y-axis. You see the time duration here is about 5 milliseconds. You see it's about 5 milliseconds, but whereas in cardiac myocytes, it's about 300 to 350 milliseconds. Of course, y-axis remains the same. Y-axis remains the same for both the cells, and you see the morphological changes happening between your normal muscle cell as well as the ventricular muscle cells. Once it reaches action potential, it just falls down. But here, once it reaches action potential, you have a full plateau region which prevents your rapid repolarization, which makes your cardiac muscle cell to get longer. This is the basic difference and a very important difference happening between action potential and the repolarization stage. This is the difference between your atrial and ventricular myocyte. This is the difference between your atrial and ventricular myocyte. The previous one is the one which has a difference between your nerve cell versus muscle cell versus cardiac cell. But here is the one which talks about the difference between your atrial and ventricular myocytes. So we too have difference between your differences happening in atrial and ventricular myocyte, where atrium you see the morphology remains the time duration of X scale remains the same, But however, the morphological difference between your atrial myocyte and your ventricular myocyte has a difference. So, but however, the scaling remains the same in x-axis and y-axis, but small morphological changes happens in your atrial myocyte and as well as into ventricular myocytes. This is basically called as the electrical conduction system of the heart. The yellow line is one is called as the conduction system of the heart. Right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle, right ventricle, left ventricle. This is what happens. And you see, this is called as the sinoatrial node, which is called as the natural pacemaker of the heart. And this is called as the AV node, which is called as the atrioventricular node. These are the lines which is called as the way of propagation in which your electrical impulse passes from the atrium through the ventricles. So this is called the bundle of branches, which is separated as right bundle branch and left bundle branch, and these are called a bundle of phases. Quickly, moving into the Murli sir, how to go to the slideshow F5? Is there any possibility here to go to slideshow of F5? This is basically thing. Can I move? How is it possible to move to F5 slideshow so that I could show the animation to the participants? Bala Murli sir.
Yes, sir.
No, how to go to F5? How to go to F5, the slideshow?
So this is in the slideshow. If you want to show any kind of video or animation, you have to come out of the slideshow and you have to turn on your screen share on. Here, animation will not run.
Okay, basically there will be an animation here.
One second, sir, you have the top left corner, you have the 4 buttons. The third button is turn screen share on. You click on that and open the PPT in your laptop where you can run your animation. Third button on the top left.
Now, can you see it? I don't know. Can you see it?
One second, you just.
In that case, should I stop the? Can you see the animation happening?
No, you just press the third button in the screen share. So in the window, you top left corner, you have first one is video on, second one is audio. Yes, now it's clear. Now you can see your desktop.
Okay, can you see the animation?
Yes, it's happening.
Okay, then in that case, let me start stick with this one, no problem. So basically, electrocardiogram is basically, it's a measure of electrical activity of the heart recorded on a paper. Basically, when you talk about ECG, it's very minimal. You can take an ECG with respect of maybe 100 rupees or 150 rupees, but it's a very gold standard, very valuable diagnostic test, which gives you the complete information of your heart. So one of the wonders, one of the wonders in which you just place your electrodes on the surface of the body, but you get more than enough information what you can get it from normally placing the electrodes. So this is how ECG looks like. Look like means in a normal ECG, P wave, Q, R, S, and T wave. This is what happens in your heart. Whenever you see an ECG, whenever you see a ECG, this is what happens in your heart. Basically, your electrical impulse starts on the SA node, and generally it goes from. Okay, let me explain it again. Let me wait for the things. Okay. Okay, typically your electrical impulse starts from SA node. It spreads right and left atrium. Then you see a complete P wave. Then AV node, isoelectric line. Then this is basically called the interventricular septum. Then QRS complex. Then a complete T wave comes in. So this is what happens. These are the electrical impulses which propagate from the upper chambers of the heart to lower chambers of the heart, which gives you the complete P wave. So basically, when you talk about ECG, there are complexes, segment, intervals, and waves. P wave is basically the first wave, which is in ECG called as basically due to atrial depolarization. Q wave, R wave, and S wave, they completely call as QRS complex. And T wave is basically ventricular repolarization. Of course, we have two segments which are important: PR segment and ST segment, and then we have PR interval, QT interval. This basically talks about the interval aspects of on the ECG aspects. Very important intervals. I think many of them may know about PR interval. I can just rush it through up. This is basically what is happening in the art at particular instances: A, B, C, D, E, F, E, F, and G. So you see that yellow color represents depolarization and the green represents repolarization. So yellow basically starts from SI node, which is called as a P wave. You see A, B, and C completely at the C point. You see A getting depolarization. Generally, when we talk about ECG, we should talk about in terms of depolarization, not contraction. Depolarization currents are the one which causes contraction. In either it may be in the atrial side or either it can be ventricle sides. One should not say the word called contractions in terms of ECGs. Depolarization or the electrical currents which spread across the atrium which causes contraction. So similarly, you see that once after D, your atrium starts to repolarize. At the same time, your ventricle starts to depolarize. So this is basically what happens. Both things are atrial repolarization and ventricle depolarization are happening simultaneously. That's why you don't see a atrial repolarized waveform in a normal ECGs. In a normal ECG, you don't see a atrial repolarized waveform. Atrial repolarization waveform. So since because ventricle starts to contract, atrium is also working up. So this basically ventricle mass muscle is so high, it obscures your it hides or obscures your atrial part. So QRS complex is basically because of ventricular depolarization, and you see that E waveform and you see F, the complete ventricle is getting depolarized. You see a full waveform over here. And T wave is basically because of ventricular repolarization. Basically, you have a positive wave of T wave. So this is a just summary of how your depolarization happens, what makes your ventricles to get depolarized, and what makes your ventricle to get repolarized. Talking about dipole vectors, these are very important in understanding why a ECG waveform is having a positive wave and a negative wave. Very important aspects. Why a particular P wave is showing positive, why Q wave is negative, why R wave is positive, why S wave is negative, and again why T wave is positive. So these are basically, when we talk about vector movement, these are all basically vector movements. So whenever a dipole charge means it can be either it can be a depolarization waveform or either it can be a repolarization waveform. Whenever a depolarization waveform moving towards a positive electrode will always have a positive deflection. Or we can say in another word that whenever a waveform is moving towards a positive electrode and also very parallel to a lead system, which always have a positive deflections. Whenever a depolarization waveform moving away from positive electrode will have a downward deflection or a negative deflection. There are two important things: moving towards electrodes and also moving parallel. You always have a maximum deflection. When the same depolarization waveform or a repolarization waveform moving perpendicular or 90 degrees to a lead systems or towards electrode, you always have a isoelectric line or more isoelectric line, basically isoelectric line. So whenever a depolarization waveform moving towards an electrode, we will have a positive deflection, and whenever a repolarization waveform moving towards a positive electrode, we'll have a negative deflection. Exactly opposite. I'll just move to the this okay. Sorry, I have to share it again. Okay, you could see what I said in an animation way. This is basically represents your atrial cell, and this one represents your ventricle cells. Okay, find it. This represents your atrial myocytes, and this represents your ventricle myocytes. As I said, whenever a depolarization waveform moving towards a positive electrode, and now it is repolarizing. Okay, let me wait for depol. Okay, now it starts to depolarize from negative to positive. Whenever a depolarization waveform moving towards positive electrode, you have a positive deflection. As I said, whenever a repolarization waveform moving towards positive electrode, you have a negative deflections. So whenever you see a P wave, is always positive, which means your P wave depolarization vector, whenever it is moving to a positive electrode, you have always a positive deflections. And whenever you see a atrial repolarization waveform, which is not commonly seen in an ECG, will always have a negative waveform. So that's why you see a positive wave and a negative wave in terms of ECG aspects. Now we'll come to the ventricle part. So again, depolarization happening towards positive electrode. You are having a positive ECG, which is nothing but the R wave, the maximum R wave. But the only difference happening here is that your repolarization starts from the positive wave. You see, depolarization starts from left to right. But what happens in ventricle is that it starts from right to left. It's exactly opposite in direction. They are exactly opposite in direction. This is the basic physiological changes happening between your atrial myocytes and your ventricle myocytes. That means, suppose your ventricle myocytes depolarization starts from a cell 1 to 10. So it starts from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But your repolarization again starts from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is exactly opposite in direction. This is a basic difference between your physiological difference happening between your atrial myocyte and ventricle myocytes. This is another different waveform which gives you a complete understanding of your leads. As I said, whenever a depolarization waveform moving towards a positive electrode, you have a positive deflection, and when it is parallel, this is basically a lead system, this is a depolarization vector. Whenever it is parallel, you have a maximum deflection. So whenever a depolarization waveform moving to a positive electrode, which is moving away from the lead system, we'll have a deflection of positive, but which is lesser than this lead. So whenever it is more parallel, we have a larger lead. Whenever it's moving away from positive electrode, we'll have the lesser amplitude. So that's why you see maximum amplitude, lesser, least, and whenever your depolarization waveform perpendicular to lead system, this is basically your isoelectric line. And now you see that now the depolarization waveform moving towards negative quadrant, which is moving towards negative quadrant, which have negative deflection, which is having a negative deflection. Whenever it is moving towards the positive leads, which is having a maximum deflection but negative in nature, and whenever it is more parallel, you have a negative deflection which is same as this magnitude but exactly opposite in direction. This is what happens in a lead system. Talking about ECG lead system, there are two basic types of ECG leads. One is called as the bipolar leads. And the other one is called as the unipolar leads. Bipolar leads means measuring potential difference between two lead systems. One is at positive and one is at negative. Unipolar leads, which are bipolar leads, are called as standard limb leads, and unipolar leads are called as augmented leads or chest leads having a single potential. So this is the basic difference between a bipolar lead and a unipolar lead having both. These are the major classifications of lead systems. Bipolar leads having placing the electrodes on right arm, left arm, and left leg. Typically, right leg will be a reference lead. The potential difference between your right arm and left arm is called as lead 1, and potential difference between your right arm and left leg is called lead 2, and potential difference between your left arm and left leg is called lead 3. Augmented leads. Augmented means summations. Basically, they call lead AVR, lead AVL, and lead AVF. AVL means augmented voltage at right hand. Lead AVL means augmented voltage at left foot, left arm, and lead AVF means augmented voltage at left foot. So right arm, left arm, and foot. I'll just rush it through. This is called chest leads, which are called as precordial leads, which specifically focuses on the ventricle part. You see RV and LV, these are specialized leads which focuses more onto the right and left ventricle. So collectively we have 12 leads. tree for bipolar leads, which is called as lead 1, lead 2, and lead 3. And AVR, AVL, and AVF, which are called as accumulated leads. So 3 plus 3 is 6. And V1 to V6 total 6. So totally we have 6 plus 3 plus 3, which is comprised of 12 leads. This is basically 12 lead view system. Why we devise leads? Very important aspects. Why do we devise leads? So basically, you see, leads are nothing but cameras. Leads are nothing but cameras which views your different anatomical parts of your art. That is very important. Different anatomical parts of your art. Suppose if you can see me, you can see my eye, nose, and mouth, but you can't see my back of my head or my ears very clearly. So likewise, so leads which has to cover your art at 360 degrees. That's why this lead system are devised. This is why the role of modification came into role. So suppose if you see lead 1, which is classified as lateral leads, which means you can see the lateral part of the art. You see lead 2, lead 3, and AVF, which are nothing but inferior leads, which is nothing but we can see the lower portions of the art. So whenever you have a lower problem in the lower portions of the art, which can be clearly identified by the inferior leads, which can be clearly identified by the inferior leads. Lead AVR and AVL, basically they are called as, AVR is called as lateral leads. Basically they are called as wings of the ECGs. They are basically called as the wings of the ECGs. AVR is the one which somebody is viewing the art on the right hand shoulder, and AVL is the one which someone is viewing from the left hand shoulder. So lead 1, lead 2, and lead 3 were called inferior leads. Lead 2, AVF, and lead 3 they are called inferior leads, and lead 1 is called lateral. Apart from that, the chest leads V1, V2, V3, V4, and V5. So V1 and V2 called as septal leads. Septum means it separates your right side of the art and the left side of the art. And V3 and V4 is anterior leads, and V5 and V6 they are called as lateral leads. Now talking about lead system, I'll just stop sharing and I'll go to the normal. Basically, I'm a bit struggling because I didn't have breakfast. So kindly pardon me. I'm a bit running out of my energy. That's why I'm a bit slow now. I don't know. Sir, how to? I'm just okay.
Tell me, sir, how can I help you?
Okay. No, I didn't have breakfast. No, it's getting the toll of me. I can't speak a bit louder. I'm just sucking it. No, but it's my fault. However, I should have had, but okay. I have to manage the show since I have committed. So this is now we are getting into the more important part. Apart from standard 12 lead systems, standard 12 lead means we have 12 leads, right? Lead 1, lead 2, lead 3, AVR, AVL, AVF, and the test leads V1 to V6. Now, what is the importance of other lead systems? Apart from standard lead system, what are the importance of other lead systems? They are typically called as modified lead systems. Why these kind of modifications came into role? What is the necessity? What is the science behind this modification? Why do we need modification, or which kind of patients need modification? There are a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions cast on modifications of lead systems. There are people who disagree with the modification. There are many people who agree with the modifications. So you see there are different type of modifications started in 1912. Sir Lewis, his name is Lewis, but we has given a Sir degree, so it's called Lewis system. So these are basically called different type of lead system, which you see exactly different from the other lead system. If you see lead 1, typically they place on right arm and left leg. But what Sir Lewis lead did is that he typically placed the leads on the right side of the chest. Right side of the chest. So there are a lot of different studies still going on, and I am one among them who's working on this kind of lead system. Of course, I am not working on the modified leads, which I worked on PhD. Now I work more on signal analysis part. So these are different type of leads people use for their own convenience to enhance signals. When you see an ECG waveform, let me go to the back slides. When you see an ECG waveform, you see the amplitudes of R wave, they are pretty high, almost 2 millivolts. When you see a P wave, which is nothing but representing your atrial part, it's about 0.1 or 0.2 millivolts, not more than 100 or 150 microvolts. When we talk about R wave in terms of microvolts, it's about 1500 or 1600 microvolts, whereas in terms of P wave, it's basically 100 to 150. So suppose somebody want to focus more on atrium. Suppose somebody wants to focus on atrium, you know, uh, uh, we have to go for different type of lead system which enhances your leads, which enhances the system. This is basically we have to go for a different type of leads. Suppose if I want to study about atrial arrhythmias, atrial fibrillations or atrial tachycardia, specifically I want this specific 12 lead system will not be of helpful. Will not be of helpful. So this is why this is what was my PhD main objective. No, this figure completely shows you the information. Atrial depolarization waveform are very small compared to R wave, and atrial repolarization waveform it is not seen at all. Generally, when you talk about the atrial repolarization, this atrial repolarization waveform cannot be seen in a normal healthy subjects. So now a person like me who wants to focus more on the atrial ECG component. There are a lot of studies focusing on atrial ECG components. Suppose if I want to focus more on atrial ECG components, the standard lead systems, they have their own limitations in giving you more information on atrial. So in such circumstances, standard lead systems have its limitations. So if I want to focus more on atrial fibrillations, atrial tachycardia, or atrial pericarditis, atrial flutter, any diseases related to atrial aspects, these standard 12 lead systems have its own limitations. So this is why people went for modified lead systems are called as modified limb lead systems, which is basically placing your electrodes according to the dipole movements of depolarization and repolarization of atrium. तो क्या हुआ? So this picture is not coming. Something has happened again. So can you see this picture? Sir, can you see this picture? Hello? Dr. Murli sir, can you see that the lead system? No, I think he has gone somewhere. Now, whether participants can chat so that they can say that no, yes sir, okay, somebody has said yes, okay, thank you. I didn't see that, no. Also, you can, people are saying that they can see the screen. Okay, good. This is basically the lead system which I devised. It's called as a modified limb electrode placement and the MLL systems. So this is basically an inversion of Einthoven triangle. Basically, what I did is that I placed the electrodes on the, suppose these are the electrodes which are supposed to place on the right atrium. Sorry, these are the electrodes are supposed to place on the right arm, left arm, and left leg. What I did is that instead of placing on the right arm, I placed on the right side of the chest. Of course, there's a big science behind that. There is a big science behind why I placed the electrodes on the right side of the chest. There is a big science behind that. So when we place the electrodes on the right side of the chest, typically, of course, two important things happening. One is they are more near to the atrium part, and they are more far away from the ventricle parts. They are more far away from the ventricle parts. So this is what typically happens in your right atrium and left atrium. So they are typically far away from the right ventricles. And this is the science behind the modified limb electrode placement. As I said, whenever a depolarization waveform moving towards a positive electrode, you have a positive deflection, and whenever a repolarization waveform moving to the same positive electrode will have a negative deflection, which I told you in the previous slides. These are basically, whenever we talk about depolarization vector, we are talking about basically, the dipole molecules. We are talking about dipole molecules here. So you see negative and positive, negative and positive. Whereas we talk about repolarization, exactly it reverses positive and negative. The one important thing happening in the atrium is that this is called a sinoatrial node, which is called as a natural pacemaker of the heart. The depolarization vectors spread the electrical impulse spreads from the SA node and propagates downward and inward direction, which is moving to a positive electrode will have a positive deflection here. That's why you see always a P wave is a positive wave. P wave is always a positive wave, but very small in magnitude, but it is a positive wave. What happened in repolarization? Repolarization also starts exactly from the SA node with opposite direction. So what I said, whenever a depolarization moves towards a positive electrode, you have a positive deflection. Whenever the same repolarization having negative charge at the front moving to the same positive electrode will have a negative deflection. So this is why a depolarization and a repolarization having a positive and a negative wave. Whereas for ventricles, you see QRS R wave is positive and a T wave is negative here. R wave is nothing but depolarization of ventricle, which is positive. But you see T wave is also positive here. So, but in case of repolarization, it is positive and negative. In case of ventricles, it is positive and positive. This is the understanding behind. This is the understanding behind. No, this is the understanding behind how your atrial myocytes. Many pictures are not coming, I guess. I don't know. Let me check it now. So why these pictures are not coming? Okay. Okay, no problem. Sir, I can't hear you. Your voice is mute. Okay. So now I hope participants would have understood that the basic difference between your atrial side and ventricle side. So when you talk about atrium, both the depolarization and repolarization start from the SA node. That is from 1 to 10. But in case of ventricles, your ventricular depolarization and ventricular repolarization are exactly opposite in direction. That is from inner layer to the heart to the outer layer is depolarization. And something has happened. CIT Chennai has left the room. Participants, can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? I'm saying that some red button has come, something has come. I don't know. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sweta and Raghavan. Thank you. Thank you. But however, no, there's a lot of things happening. But of course, these are the merits and demerits of the online presentation, because I don't know whether I may be speaking by myself where people could not hear. Okay, anyway, I'm just seeing the chat. People are saying yes, sir.
Yes, we are hearing you, Mr. Shivaraman. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Okay.
If we are hearing, you can good to go.
Okay. I'm a bit struggling to talk actually. I'm running out of my energy. But however, I have to manage since committed. Okay. So this is the basic difference happens in your atrial and ventricular myocytes. This is one of the machine which I use. One of the I say wonders of ECG, which I say wonders of ECG, which got my. This is only one equipment I use for my PhD. When you talk about signal processing or signal analysis or working on instrumentation, you need not to more dependent on equipments. equipment dependent is more comparatively less when compared to other areas of research. So when I was with NIT Trichy, this was a machine which I was given, and with this I got my PhD along with some 6 and 7 papers. So no, the ultimate thing is that whatever it is given to you, we should make the most of it, and no, we should stop saying that facility is not there, which I am unable to do. Whatever the facility is given to you, you should make most of it, and we should come with flying colors instead of no finding fault with the system. And it is basically to to achieve whatever is given to you. We should achieve at the most whatever the available facility which is given to you. So this is one of the good machine which I have. Edan AC is very small. It's like my palm size, which is morely useful to take over. All the research which I did is was in Madras Medical College. So I had a very good clinical collaborator. Professor name is Dr. Venkatesan. He is from Department of Cardiology. So he was a very backbone of my research. So all the ECG recordings on patients, on AV block patients, or tachycardia patients or atrial fibrillations, we recorded on in MMC, Madras Medical College, Department of Cardiology. Let me talk about the first paper. I'll talk about. I hope you all understood the the modifications. So the basically why we use modification is that typically to enhance your atrial activity. Nothing much you can do in instrumentation part. You can't separate your atrial side and ventricle side in a point of real time recording. Any signal processing can be done only in offline. It can't be done at point of care, right? Point of care means immediate solution. So anything cannot be done at point of care. So to do a point of care recording, to give point of care immediate clinical diagnosis, we have to go for modified lead systems. One of the modified lead system which I basically tested is for to unmask the atrial repolarization waveforms. Typically, I saw that if your people would have listened to that, atrial repolarization waveform generally it is not visible in a standard ECGs. Is it not? In standard ECGs, it is not visible. So now what we did is that now let us try for a modified lead systems after readings. Of course, this modification what I placed over here, it took up almost 2 years to study the science behind that, and just placing the electrodes on the right side of the chest, it almost took 2 years. It is not just merely the placing the electrodes on the right side of the chest. It almost took to narrow down, or else it's basically optimizing. I hope many of you know the word called optimization. So optimizing the electrode placement is very very critical in such a way that you have to enhance your because everything is inside. We are just placing the electrodes on the outside of the chest, and we are just controlling what is happening inside the heart. This is basically typically very difficult to enhance the signals without doing any amplifiers. These electrodes can work with any type of ECG machines. So I did not work anything on the amplifier side. I just worked on the front side, which enhance your P waves. So this is basically called unmasking of atrial. I published in this Journal of Color maybe in 2015, maybe 5 years back. What is the objective is that typically we devise a new lead system to study and record the atrial repolarization wave is called as the TA wave. Atrial repolarization wave it is seen, it is called as TA wave, whereas atrial depolarization wave is called as the P wave. So what we found is that we were able to record a TA wave after the P wave, and what we found is that and is opposite to PA wave. Opposite means whenever a P wave is positive, we always see a negative PA wave. And what are the conclusion is that though we see the TA wave, but it was observable, but end of the TA wave is not observable as it extends into the QRS complex HT segments. This is one of the important findings. What we found in TA is that though we found a TA wave, but we were not able to see the full TA wave in terms of duration. I'm talking about in terms of durations, because however whatever the atrial repolarization happening, your QRS complex happens at the lower chambers of the heart. So you can't completely separate your QRS complex. It happens. That is a physiology. So though we were able to see a small TA wave, though the conduction of QRS complex takes place, but we were not able to see the full TA wave. Of course, we can see a full TA wave in AV block patients, atrioventricular block patients. This is a standard 12 lead ECGs on a 32-year-old male healthy subjects where the TA wave is not observed in the PR segment. Sir, there is a problem, sir. Then I have to again go back to the screen share. I don't know why this, whether you can see the pictures.
What happened?
No, can you see the pictures? I can't see the picture
No,
of.
no, we couldn't be able to see the picture.
Okay, sir.
Can you use the screen share option to?
Can you see now?
Yes, now it's clear. We can see the ECG signals.
Okay, sir. Super, sir. Okay, this is basically a standard lead system where of a 32-year male subject where TA wave is not seen, and you see that here. The next picture, they recorded the same healthy male subject, but you see a small TA wave, and you see the R wave here, very small. If you see the previous R wave is as big as this much, when we place the modified leads, your R wave is very small, which is almost similar to P wave peak. Is it not? So you see that very small wave. Typically, no, what we found is that TA wave, they were amplitudes in terms of 40 to 50 microvolts. That is the main reason in which standard lead systems were not able to pick up the atrial repolarization waveform. Nobody gives importance to atrial repolarization because they are not seeing those waveforms. But no, somehow my mind made sure that no, we should be able to see a atrial repolarization waveform. This is a same lead at a different paper speed, and here you could see a very good negative waveform after a P wave. So P wave is always positive and T wave is always negative. Whenever you see P wave is negative, your T wave is always positive, and you see the amplitudes of R wave very smaller than P wave. This is one of the important aspects that people appreciated, that no, you can't see this kind of ECG. Maybe it's a new, those who have seen this for first time. Generally, it is very difficult to minimize your R wave, but somehow the science has helped us in improving your in improving your P wave. At the same time, it reduces your R wave. This is how a P wave and a TA wave looks like. This is how a P wave and T wave looks like in a larger scale. This is basically standard versus modified limb ECGs for a same subject. You see, this is called P wave, PR segment, Q wave, R wave, S is not here, T wave. So this is basically PR segment. Whenever you see a atrial repolarization waveform, we always see in PR segment, which is exactly happening here. You see this one? This is basically a small waveform which is not isoelectric. These are the amplitudes here. Since star wave amplitude is negative in nature, which is denoted as negative wave, you see the amplitudes, it's about 40 to 43 microvolts. So this is the main reason. What we found after research is that this could be the main reason, or this could be the main limitations in which T wave amplitudes are hidden in a standard 12 lead ECGs. So that is why you see the amplitude of P wave. So you see the difference in amplitudes. It's almost twice. P wave is almost twice of TA wave amplitude. This is the major reason why your atrial repolarization is not seen in this waveform. Of course, duration is okay. Let me move on to the the next work. I'll just complete because I couldn't speak because of the I'm getting tired. I don't know, without not having the breakfast and just struggling. This is one is first paper is unmasking. Now next paper is normal limits of ECG measurements related to atrial activity using a modified lead systems. Whenever you design your lead systems, we have to show to the people that what are the normal limits. What are the normal limits of lead system? Because each lead systems have their own normal limits. Normal limit means within a particular range. If it goes beyond that range, then it's called an abnormal waveform. So for that, we have to derive the normal limits of ECG's measurements related to atrial activity using a modified lead systems. Objective is that to evaluate the effect of modified limb electrode on wave amplitudes and frontal plane axis. So what we did is that we just focused on how the wave amplitudes are differing and accordingly how the axis changes are differing. You see the conclusions here. Changes in amplitude, the changes in P wave amplitude are of importance in the detection of atrial electrical activities. So whatever we did in normal limits, it is very important in improving the clinical diagnosis of atrial electrical activities. Apart from that, we will see a lot of QRS axis changes which were able to produce false positive ECG changes that are clinically significant. So I didn't talk about QRS axis. Basically, axis is the one which determines your vector. When you talk about this vector, right, this vector is basically because of axis changes. You see, these are parallel. So this has some angles. This has some angle. This has some angle. This one is having different angle. So axis angle plays an important role in analyzing the ECG waveforms. In a normal thing, whenever we talk about P wave axis, the average axis lies between 30 to 60 degrees. That is what was happening between the ML system. It was the axis is about 31 plus or minus 4 degrees. The mean difference between the P wave axis between standard and modified. We also measured the P wave axis in standard and we also measured the P wave axis in modified, and we compared between that and we minus the modified lead system from the standard lead system, which was found to be 27 degrees. This 27 degrees which is well between the normal limits of P wave axis. Likewise, the QRS axis. When we recorded the QRS wave axis, the normal QRS axis should be lying between minus 30 degree to 90 degrees, which means, let me go back. Sorry for moving back so that I make sure that you people can understand it, what I am talking about. You see this degrees here, minus 30, 0, 30, 60 and 90. This is basically your resultant mean vector of QRS complex, which I am talking about now. So this vector can vary between minus 30 degree to 90 degrees. Is it clear? I hope it is clear. This is a resultant mean vector for QRS axis. Likewise, there are resultant mean vector for P wave axis as well as T wave axis. This determines, suppose whenever a QRS axis lies between minus 30 degrees to 90 degrees, that means your heart is considered to be healthy. You are fine. When this electrical mean vector move beyond minus 30 degree or beyond 90 degree, they are called as, when it moves beyond minus 30 degrees, it is called as left axis deviation. When it moves beyond 90 degrees, it is called as right axis deviations. So whenever a electrical mean vector lies between minus 30 to 90 degree, your heart is considered to be the normal one. We can determine lot of abnormalities with respect to axis changes. So the frontal plane, you see that minus 1791, which is in the normal range. So the mean difference, of course, the variations were from minus 88 to 176 degrees, which were showing that as if that patients are with different diseases. So we're talking about T wave axis. This is more in depth, no? When we talk about ECG, people talk about the amplitudes, but they don't give much more importance on axis changes. But we did more onto the clinical aspects, which were able to see P wave, QRS, and T wave axis. T wave axis also were within the limits. So these are different, basically the plots which we plotted, and you see here the difference happening here. In standard, it was 57.93. In modified, it's about 30.96. In standard, it was 44.11 for QRS axis. In mean, it's about minus 16.93, which is between the normal range. T wave axis 26.65. Mean is about 40 points. But you see the ranges here. Ranges were wide ranges. You see the wide ranges over here. So that is why the differences were happening in between whenever we place the modified limb electrode on analyzing the axis changes. You see the amplitudes over here. When you talk about amplitudes, blue represents standard and the red represents modified. Always all your modified leads were having higher amplitudes. When you compare to R wave, modified or R wave is very small as it can be reflected in ECGs, whereas standard were having about 600, 800 microvolts. So likewise for S wave, the standard were large and the modified were small. Likewise for T wave, the T wave amplitudes of standard were large and P wave were very small. This is been talking about amplitudes. So we did on amplitude part as well as in terms of axis part. These are the modified changes here. These are the variations happening in the modification standard between, and you see we did the percentage of changes. There were about 73% of changes were happening when a P wave is recorded in lead 1. You see 64 and you see how the P wave were improved at about 111. So at lead level you see 73% of waveforms were showing bigger. Positive means positive decrease increment, negative means there's a lesser waveform. So you see what is happening in P wave and you see in R wave, lead 1, the lead 1 R wave is about 611 microvolts, whereas the modified is about 98 microvolts. Where you could see exactly minus 72% has decreased, whereas in P wave it has increased, whereas in R wave it has decreased. So this is the consequence of having the modified lead system, which exactly minimizes all your ventricular activity and it improves your P wave activities. As I was talking about axis changes, right? I told the normal vectors about minus 930 to 90 degrees is always left axis deviations. When it goes beyond left axis deviation, it's called left ventricular hypertrophy, left atrial fascicular block, inferior myocardial infarctions. These are different axis deviations when it goes beyond the normal axis. Minus 30 to 90, if it goes beyond it, it's called right axis deviation. When it goes beyond minus 30, it's the left axis deviations. So with this, I'll just there are people studied about does modifying electrode placement of 12 lead ECG matter in LT subjects? When we place modified limb electrodes on the LT subjects, whether it matters. Of course, it matters. There are a lot of changes happens, and with this, I'll just complete. I know that I was not with my how to stop it. Okay.
Yes, you can.
So I'll stop it here. I know that I was not with my the full strength and power which I used to be. I should. For that, you have to pardon me. So I was not. I don't know. Somewhere or other, I'm getting. I couldn't get the energy which I used to be. But anyway, I hope it would be it's some preliminary work which we have did, and some kind of we looked at ECG in a different aspect. That is what is important. We have to see it in a we have to see it in a different way in ECG what other people see. So that's why which got me a PhD and postdoc and getting a job in NIT Rourkela. So this is more on in-depth axis changes. Many people will omit these axis changes. Even a small bit of amplitude changes and axis changes. It is always very useful in terms of false positive changes and all those. My students are working on different aspects, devising new leads for QT interval, beta interval, and all those stuff. I would be happy to answer whether people can speak or they'll just give you the chat, which I look to the chat and I should answer.
No, I have taken some questions from the chat window, and I could probably ask those questions to you. You can answer those questions.
Okay,
is it
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Somebody's asking Shilpa. No, the disclaimer is that I used to have more energy, but today the unlucky
the energy
point
was
is that,
really amazing, sir. Even though you have not had your breakfast, the energy level has not gone any point of time.
No, but that should not be excuse for me. But I should have added. But I don't know. Here shops are closed within the campus, so only we have mess. So shops are closed. So mess we have to eat before 9. So that is the only, we don't have shops over here inside. Now all the restaurants are closed within the campus. So only option is to have the food in the mess, which I used to have it. but time has gone, so that no, I couldn't get food. Okay, that's another different story.
Fine, let's
Let me
take
answer.
some questions, sir. Like, while placing the electrodes, what are the drawbacks we face? That is one of the questions. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I would not say the word drawback. I can say it's a term called limitations. That is the right word to be using it. So when we place some modified limb electrodes, of course, if you see my limitation, where I can see only the atrial part in a more larger way, whereas I can't see a R wave at all. So this lead system cannot be useful for studying ventricular activity. So that is the virtue of this lead system. Whatever I need, I will get it. Suppose if I want to focus on atrial activity, I have to go for lead system. Of course, if you want to study more on ventricular activity, you have that standard lead system already available. So this I could see that limitations. This I would say that limitations. And what's the right chest? When you place electrode on the right side of chest, the movement of limbs is limited. So whenever we talk about ECGs, there are a lot of noises basically because of motion artifact. Motion artifact is the one which is noise produced by the patient itself. They can move their legs or they can move their arms and other things. And so when you place over a chest, the noise is very less, and of course we can focus more on atrial aspect. That is one of the limitations where this system may not be apt or may not be adopted for viewing on ventricular diseases, but it is very lethal, not lethal, very superb. I use the wrong term, but it is very powerful in analyzing the atrial ECG aspects.
Okay. Do you have any training centers, institutes for ECG in Tamil Nadu? I don't know.
No, sir, no training. We have to get self-trained. We have to read books. We have to read papers. You can train yourself. There are a lot of ECG data available in physionet.org or physionet ATM. There are a lot of digital data, lot of things, but you should read a lot of papers. I don't know in what terms the question was casted. I don't know, but there are no trainings available. No. Some you can go to hospital and record ECGs, of course, but other than that, I don't know about
And one point I would like to add is we have a Center of Excellence in Biomedical with all BioPack instruments.
Oh, very good. BioPack is good.
We have we have all the three wired 2 and wireless 1. 3 models we have. I think almost we have invested around 50 lakhs in biomedical COE alone.
Very nice.
We have only first year. Next year only we are coming with second year, and excellent infrastructure has been set up in CIT college.
Okay, then I would love to come and visit that. No, even we don't have such investment. Okay.
Sure. You can. I invite you one day after this lockdown and all over.
Yes. So I could see some question here. Which is the most predominant factor to be considered? Which is the most predominant factor to be considered? Predominant factor of what? Sendil Kumar K. Which is the most predominant factor to be considered? Of what? I don't know. I need. Okay. Next is. Can this lead may be used in mechanical devices to study the vibration characteristics? Can these leads may be used in mechanical devices to study the vibration characteristics? Generally, they use these piezoelectric crystals, cantilever beams. I don't know what kind of answer I can give. Leads may not be useful to in mechanical device. Of course, we can place these piezoelectric crystals depending upon the placement of the mechanical vibration. I saw many of my juniors in my NIT Trichy, they were working on cantilever beams. They generally go for energy harvesting. They place different type of lead system, leads in sensors of different dimensions, and it's called energy harvesting, tailor made. So they make a hollow they make trapezoidal, they make T-type, different type of dimensions of piezoelectric crystals, and they were making to have different kind of waveform, energy harvesting. You could see some papers on energy harvesting on different type of dimensions, and making it triangle, making it hollow, like that they were doing it. Then I could see, let me see the questions, no? Sir,
So I could see some.
Sir, ECG can detect if any block in arteries. Arteries, yes, madam. Shilpa, madam, yes. Whenever I said no, this inferior leads, septal leads. Suppose if a block is happening in the arteries, carrying blood to the inferior portions of the heart. So whenever a block is happening in arteries, means there is a reduced blood supply happening to the blood supply to particular vessel, so that the blood is carrying to the vessel will not reach the tissues. That is called as myocardial infarction. Myocardium means you know that cell myocyte. Infarction means reduced blood supply. So when the, suppose for example, whenever your arteries having a block carrying blood to the myocardial to the inferior portions of the heart, which can be identified by lead 2, lead 3 and AVF. So there will be a deformities or abnormalities showing exactly in lead 2, lead 3 and AVF, which from which we can see that there is a blockage happened in arteries carrying blood to the lower chambers of the heart.
Is there any particular reason for you to use EDEN ECG system?
No, it has a signal averaging ECG, sir, signal averaging ECG, and where you see the paper speed, normal paper speed is 25 millimeters per second and 10 millimeter per millivolt. This ECG machine has, we can change the paper speed, 50 millimeters per millisecond or 100 millimeters per millisecond, 250 millimeters per millisecond. That means you can see a larger waveform.
And Senthil Kumar has refined his question. Which is the most predominant factor to be considered for diagnosing heart diseases?
There are more number of heart diseases, n number of heart diseases, daily new heart diseases coming in. Predominant factor, of course, the starting point would be ECG, taking ECG, and you see any abnormalities are there. When you're not able to see an ECG aspect, when you're not able to see a predominant proof in a standard ECG, then we go for TMT ECGs, treadmill test. Because when you take a ECG, we are taking a subject ECG when he or she is at rest. They are at rest. But TMT is the one which is giving a workload to the heart. So whenever a workload is given to the heart responses is completely different. You are putting pressure to the heart. So under pressure, we may perform well or we may perform badly. The normal human is. Likewise, the heart. So when you are giving workload or pressure to the heart, then you could see some abnormalities which cannot be seen in a standard ECGs. Then they go for echocardiogram. So typically, diagnosing heart disease, you have a chest pain where people come and complain to the doctors. Then they take ECGs, then TMT, then they go for echocardiogram. That would be my answer.
So I hope we have answered most of the questions, and we can go for the conclusion.
Can you difference between Ashok Kumar? Can you give difference between collecting ECG and EEG? ECG is basically cardiac, and EEG is basically because of electroencephalogram. That is much difference. Of course, there are biosignals. Let me answer, sir. So they have asked. No, let me answer. Time is there. No, so let me. I couldn't talk in a more energetic way. Let me answer. No, I'm just trying. Of course, I'm talking.
Sure. You go ahead. Go ahead. We will answer all the questions. That's not an issue.
ECG and EEG. There are more brain signals. ECGs are basically cardiac signals. Sir, what sort of techniques are used for processing? There are a lot of techniques, madam. Satya, Girija. There are a lot of techniques. I think this is the last question. Satya, Girija, sir, what sort of techniques are used for processing the ECG signals? Now, processing means we have to talk about noise processing. There are a lot of noise filters, signal FFT algorithms. There are a lot of different wavelet transform algorithms, and all those things are there. There are n number of, madam, machine learning. Now deep learning, deep convolutional neural network, there are a lot of things daily coming out. I would suggest biomedical signal processing and control journals, which having a new different type of signal processing. You can see every weekly getting published. This is one of the important aspects. Yes, I couldn't see more than these questions. Cost of an ECG equipment that was costing about 50,000 to Vijay Kumar. He was asked 50,000 rupees, 50 or 60. Any ECG, oh, cost of an ECG, not any. Even if we have 2 lakh ECG machine, which has more, but what I did from NHG is got 50, 55,000. Very small amount.
Fine. Thank you, Dr. Shivaraman sir, for the wonderful and informative session on the role of modified lead system in clinical electrocardiography, and hope even I myself understood some kind of technical terms which is more useful for me also, and we had some good questions from the audience, and hope all the questions have been cleared and answered perfectly. Thanks. Even though you had not had your breakfast, your energy level was not gone down at any point of time. That I can sure. And I thank you once again for your presentation and accepting and gracing this wonderful webinar. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. So one lesson what I learned is that I should have something before giving a talk. That is a lesson learned today. And also I thank you, sir. Thanks for inviting me and rather finding me, Kiran George. Of course, you can find us somewhere or the other. I should thank the participants. No, almost 500, 600 participants.
There were 784 participants, almost for 10:45 till 10:45.
Patiently listening to me, because some may be repetitive, some may be known, some may be faculty who have already done signal processing and all those things, and these are new era which we are getting into, right? This online teaching, online courses. I think this may be the future, at least for maybe not for 6 months or 1 year. I don't know how the situation of course a small micron level virus has given a very good lesson for us.
It's going to be the new normal.
Starting from how to be hygienic and how to wash our hands frequently. Starting from minimal. They say cleanliness is next to godliness. So we didn't understood a small virus as understood as in 2020. And then I think when you talk about this corona, I just give always my feedback on to my students. We are just dealing with the science. So this is science. Science takes time to solve. So we have to be more humble and more patient towards the COVID-19. You see a lot of cases going on today, also yesterday about 8,000. So we should not be more adamant or arrogant towards the virus. That is what is happening here also. So we should be more humble and patient towards the virus, and you should treat it as a virus. It's not like other thing. You should give some respect to the virus because it has almost taken 4 lakhs people's life. So which means we should show some respect towards it.
Respect towards it. You need to give way for the virus to go out. We should not block the road.
Respect in the sense social distancing, not going outside without mask. Because we know that it is killing in a rapid way. We should respect it, right? We should respect it. That means what? Put the mask and clean your hands. Don't go outside unless necessary. Where Europe countries and US countries were pretty arrogant, and they were you could see almost 1 lakh people are dying in US, right? So that is basically because of what the virus will do to us. We should not take any chance or whatsoever. We should treat it certain way. Let us see how long we have to be here. Okay, sir.
Thank you once again. And the participants can reach to Dr. Shivaraman through his mail ID or LinkedIn profile for any kind of
we are always
research scopes we were discussing in the initial. So any people who are interested in these areas can reach out to Dr. Shivaraman through his mail, which is in the NIT Roorkela website. You can write to him, and you can, if you are interested for doing PG or research associate or any kind of PhD, also you can do this.
Of course, you can contact me. You can contact me my phone. You can contact me WhatsApp, whatever the possible. See, we are always here to welcome you. It's not that NIT, IIT, I am very kind, to be honest. I can't speak about others, but I am very friendly. I reply mails immediately and answer WhatsApp. So you are always welcome. There are a lot of opportunities on biomedical engineering. This kind of FDPs and others, we can meet each other. Okay, sir.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much, Dr. Shivaraman. Thanks for your wonderful time and effort. Thank you very much. Thanks to all the audience. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.